Hey monkeys, how you doing? Damian Keys here. It is another beautiful day in Brighton. As you can see, we've got everything. We've got beach, we've got sea, we've got naked people. Life is good. So I want to talk about Facebook advertising today, because Facebook advertising is something that I suppose crops up the most out of all distributional things that we talk about, how we're actually going to use Facebook adverts. It's the most amount of negativity whenever I talk about advertising, where people say, oh, it doesn't really work for me. And I always think it does work. It absolutely does work for you. It's just you haven't learned how to do it. So I just thought, let's do a video on my top 10 tips for actually using Facebook ads, specifically advertising on Facebook. Tip 10. What is it that you're advertising for? Are you advertising for likes? Are you advertising for comments? Are you actually selling something? This is the most important question before you start advertising on Facebook. And the reason for that is because otherwise what you do is you stick your stuff out there, you put a bunch of money in it, and you see what happens. And I can promise you, when you see what happens, nothing happens. You've got to be smarter than that. So what is it that you want to do with advertising on Facebook? What is the end goal? Are you trying to build your audience? Are you trying to get more engagement? Or are you physically trying to sell a product? Tip 9, what is it that you are advertising? So a bit more specific now. We've got what are you trying to do with your advertising, but the next thing is, what is it that you're advertising? Because having an actual offer or something that you're advertising is much more appealing and much more valuable to the end user than just making a music video and boosting it and seeing what happens. So think about what it is that you want to advertise. And it might be that you are physically selling something. You might be selling a t-shirt, some merchandise, you might be selling a CD, you might be selling a product. But if not, you can still sell something, whether it's gig tickets or whether it's an offer, whether it's a competition. But there needs to be a bit more of an end goal to the user than you just boosting a bunch of content to see you. Now that is fine if you are doing something like I do, which is more educational marketing, where you just need people to see you to realize that I can bring you value and say, oh, actually, I want to see more of these videos to bring value. But on the whole, from a business standpoint, from a band standpoint, I would try and actually utilize the power of an offer in order to actually get people involved in what you do. Tip 8, understanding demographics. Now we talk about this a lot, but this is something that I cannot stress enough. If you've got time, spend it going into your insights and researching, because all the answers are there. You need to know exactly what share of your audience is male versus female. You need to know where they come from. You need to know what age they are. You need to know what their interests are, because all of these bits of information can then shape the power of your advertising. And this is the biggest bugbear when I talk to business owners and they say, yeah, I did some advertising on Facebook, didn't really work for me. Then when I actually go into the back end and look at the adverts, they're advertising to 18 to 65 year olds just because they think the more people the better. Now you've got to remember it like this. When you stick a tenner into Facebook ads, you're gonna hit 1,000, 2,000 people. Now, if you've got 2 million people that you're trying to advertise to, you're still only going to hit 1,000 to 2,000 people. So you might as well drill down and actually look at how you can hit 2,000 of the right people rather than 2,000 of a million vague people. So you need these demographics. If you've got spare time, go and actually research and keep up to date, because every few weeks, as more people are adding you, they'll slightly change. If you've got 60% female and 40% male, you are spending less on advertising to women than you are advertising to men, because you know your product works like that. So the more information, the better. Spend time researching the demographic that you already have on your Facebook. Tip 7, experiment using boosting versus actual Facebook advertising, because they're both different and people appreciate them in different ways. So what I see a lot of people doing is making a bunch of content and then just boosting it. And I think Facebook has deliberately set up the most powerful advertising campaign strategy platform in the world, so you need to be utilizing it. So you might find that adverts are more powerful than boosts, but you need to experiment to see what's coming back with the content that you're making, with the audience that you've got. There isn't a one size fits all, so you need to actually experiment with the difference between actual Facebook advertising and boosting. Tip 6, test, 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 test. Everything is a test. Again, what I see is I see someone make an advert and push it out there and say, well, I made the advert, it didn't really work. How do you know the advert works? How do you know the demographic was right for that particular advert? Everything is a test. And that's what Facebook does really well. You can make 30 adverts, 40 adverts, 100 adverts. You can change them every single week, every picture, every offer. Everything is different, and it's all about testing to see what works. If you expect to make an advert, put it live, and just take over the world, you are mistaken, because that isn't going to happen. And if you make a new advert every couple of weeks, having learnt something from the old advert, in 1 year's time, your Facebook advertising will be off the fucking chart. Tip 5, one size does not fit all. So when you're advertising, don't make one advert for everybody. Advertise to women, advertise to men, advertise to young people, advertise to your older market. Actually spend time making different adverts which then are pinpointed to different demographics. It is not a one-size-fits-all market, and that's the great thing that you can do with Facebook. You can make 10 ads and you can market them to people in London, you can market them to people in the north, you can market them to all different demographics. So if you've got 2 or 3 demographics or one demographic in different areas, you can still utilize all of that power for the same price. It doesn't cost you any more money. So make sure you do that, because that is an absolute key bit of information. Tip 4, utilize the power of the lookalike audiences. So Facebook have done the work for you. They've actually gone through a lot of your insights, and they've actually said, we think that there's a lookalike audience that we can actually get to. Use that, because you can specify and you can do all your own ads, but I would also experiment with the lookalike audience. I would do that quite regularly, because Facebook knows what it's doing. Facebook pours millions and millions and millions of pounds into making Facebook what it is. It is basically running the world. When people say, how does it know? Well, it fucking knows, because it's really clever, because there's a lot of time, effort, and the most smartest people in the world are spending their time on doing this stuff. So when it says, we think we can get to a certain audience which is similar to yours, listen to it. Don't be the guy who, when the sat-nav says it's left, don't go, well, I think it's right. It's fucking NASA in the sky telling you where to go. Just listen to the sat-nav. And it's the same thing with Facebook. On the whole, Facebook knows its shit. So utilize the power of a lookalike audience. Tip 3, learn the difference between interests and behaviours. Now, these are very subtle differences, but can make a massive difference. When you actually put an advert out, an interest is something that we all like. So it could be a film, it could be a hobby, whereas behaviours is very, very much more specific. So actually learn the difference, and when you actually go into the behaviors section, make sure you fill that out. It's quite obvious, you can see what it is, but that is an area that is left blank a lot when people are doing Facebook adverts. So what they do is they fill in the interests and then they leave the behaviors free. I wouldn't do that. I would try and drill down and pinpoint into this as much as possible, and behaviors is a really, really good way of doing it. So go and check it out. Tip 2, maximize your organic reach before you do any adverts. Now, if you make some content, you put it on Facebook and you boost it straight away, you won't get that free organic reach. So let Facebook do its work. Let your content, which you've worked hard on, actually get some more traction before you start to boost it. Because as soon as you do that, Facebook will just literally take into consideration what you spent, and it will actually make that happen. So use the organic reach first, then advertise second. And tip number 1, as always, patience, play the long-term game. You can't win the lottery with this. This is learning. This isn't just watching this video. This is watching this video, taking it in, making some notes, and going away and having a crack at it, and then actually looking at the information you've got and doing it again and again and again. People like me can help you with tips. People can help you save a bit of money. People can point you in the right direction. But this is a long-term game, and you need to put the time in. Stop trying to win the lottery straight away. This is all about you understanding how Facebook advertising works, so that in 5 or 10 or 20 years, you are smashing it. Whether it's business, whether it's band, whatever you're selling at that moment, you know how it works. So stop trying to think you can do Facebook advertising and learn how it works in a week or a day or a post. It doesn't work like that. It's going to take a lot of adverts. It's going to take a lot of video boosts. It's going to take a lot of experimenting, and you've got to be patient with it, and you've got to understand that over the next 50 years, this is the way that advertising is now going. So you're not just learning about one thing, which is Facebook advertising. You're learning about, from 2017 onwards, the new way of advertising and marketing, because this is the new way. TV advertising is either too expensive or pointless for you to do. This is direct marketing at its finest, and from here it's going to get refined more and more and more. So you need to know this shit. So learn it, put the time in, be patient, and I promise you it will make the difference. Cool, so that's my top 10 tips on Facebook advertising. It's the biggest thing, it's the best way of advertising, and I think you guys really spend the time and effort doing it. Hopefully this will help. If you could do me a massive favor, do me a solid and actually subscribe to this YouTube video, subscribe to the Facebook if you've just seen it, come and say hello, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. If you've got any questions, hashtag AskDame on the Twitter, Damian Keys. Otherwise, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.